All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is Coach Machen here, and we are going to get started here. We're going to be talking about how to move from overwhelm to over the top. I'm going to be your guide for today's webinar. And a little bit about me for those of you that might not know. I'm a strategic business coach. I've been that for the last 20 years, and I help small business owners basically bring their A game to their hero's journey. And I'm going to share with you one of the ways that we do that in today's webinar to help you reduce the overwhelm and gain more clarity of where you're headed with things and get more energy, get your mojo back. So a little bit of housekeeping here real quick. If I can invite you to turn off the lizard brain, the monkey mind. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when we come to events like this or we listen to things, we sometimes, our little brain says, well, that might work for other people, but my situation's different. That probably wouldn't work for me. Or you might find yourself digging your heels in and looking for ways how it cannot work. So I'm going to ask you for the next hour to suspend that piece of it and just be open-minded. You can go back to your old life if you want after the webinar, but I'm here to help you with some new tools. So that's letting go of the monkey mind. I invite you to be present for the next 60 minutes or so. Give yourself the gift of being here now. So what that means, no rings, pings, dings, or other things. If you can move the distractions away and get yourself here, that would be awesome. And this is going to be very interactive. So I invite you to put questions in the chat. From time to time, I'm going to ask some questions, which I expect some feedback, some answers. So don't be shy in that regard. And here's a couple promises that I'm going to make for you. First is, I do have a proven process that will reduce overwhelm and help you gain more clarity. In addition to that, I'm going to help bring forth your best thinking, and we're going to get you more confidence, and you're going to have some clear action steps of what to do and how to do it going forward. I promise you this is not a sales pitch. I'm going to give you some good, relevant, useful information. I'm not going to keep telling you, I'll get to that, I'll get to that, I'll get to that, and then at the end try to sell you something. That's not what this is about. All right. And then I want you to make a commitment to yourself in the next 48 hours, and that is to look over your notes and find an action or two that you'll commit to doing for yourself so that this time together is something that will deepen your learning and forward your action rather than just being entertainment. I'm all for entertainment, that's great, but if we can learn from being entertained, that's awesome. And in case you heard that little dog out there, that's my dog Coco. He's trying to get back in the house. Okay, so let me see by a show of hands or in the chat. Let me open up that chat. Can I open the chat? There we go. Let me see by a show of hands, how many of you kind of feel, especially since, COVID kind of came and went, and is it still here or whatever, but, for the last couple years in business, one of my clients told me it feels like he kind of just got pushed into the middle of this marathon that's going by, and he's trying to keep pace so that he doesn't, get run over, and he's not even sure what mile he's on or where the finish line is with regards to this race. Can anybody relate to that? Just let me see by a show of hands. Actually, I can't see the grid here, but I'm going to assume that you're raising your hand. So here's the thing. What I'm here to do is to let you know, here's the mile you're on, here's how much further you've got to go, and here's how to pace yourself so that you can manage your energy with regards to your business. And one of the ways that we do that is by being a bit stoic, if you will. And a great definition of stoicism comes to us from Stockdale's paradox. And he was a survivor of the Korean War, spent 7 years in a POW camp, and got out, and they asked him, what made the difference? How did you survive this ordeal? And how did you keep on keeping on? And one of the things that he would say is you must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never avoid to lose that, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they may be. So what that means is while we're running, we've got to imagine that there is a finish line and that we'll cross the finish line, and it's going to feel good when we cross the finish line, while digging in deep when it may be a little painful during the middle of the race. So I'm going to help you do that. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to open up the chat here, and I want to ask everybody just to take a moment and tell me, what did you come here to get? Right? The title of the program is From Overwhelm to Over the Top, Getting Rid of Overwhelm. What is it that you'd like to make sure that you get as a result of being here today? Go ahead and put some things in the chat so I can see where everybody's heads and hearts are at. Do I get to see the chat or no?
You should. Yes,
Good.
chat and Q&A are both open, guys.
Okay. Here we go. Here they come. All right. Let's see. Something to help the occasional overwhelm. All right. Thanks, Mick. And let's see. Carol says, not sure. Curious to see if there are actual strategies you will teach. Okay. Yes, there are. So stay tuned for that, Carol. Get over the blockages versus theory. Yep, I understand that. Strategies to help from ways of feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so perfect. So the thing that I want you to check in with yourself is this: what's at risk if you get what you came here to get, right? A lot of people are in overwhelm, or they're feeling confused or confungled. There's a benefit to all of that. So sometimes we have to kind of look at what our game is, and there may be a risk to being out of overwhelm, to being on top of everything, right? If we're on top of it and we're organized and we've got a clear deck ahead of us, what's at risk? Well, the risk is we may have to show up and get stuff done. And so sometimes it's easier to create chaos to keep us just kind of circling the drain. So be in touch with what you may think is at risk for you if you succeed. Okay. Now, one of the things that I want to invite everybody here to do is to notice in your profession, whether you're a coach, a financial advisor, electrician, doesn't matter what your occupation, I want you to imagine who is the best, whatever it is that you do in the world. Just think for a moment, who's the best at what I do in the world? And I'm just curious, again, in the chat, jot down a couple names of the people that you associate to being the best at what you do. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Okay, Carol Cho says Ron Carson. All right. That's in the financial services world. So those of you that are in that world, you know Ron Carson. Who else? Mick Collins, me. Okay. I like that answer. Anybody else? Tara Brock. Okay. Johnny Preston. Okay. So notice the names that you put down. And I'm going to challenge everybody here. If you did not put your name down, we've got some work to do. Okay. Here's what I mean. I want you to imagine for a moment that you claim you are the best at what you do. You are the best financial advisor. You are the best coach. You are the best credit card processor. You are the best insurance agent. You are the best at whatever you do. Feel that for a moment. And that can be scary. That can be daunting. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to imagine telling the world that, broadcasting that to the world during your next appointment when you're talking to your prospect, telling them you are the best financial advisor in the world. You are the best business coach in the world. You are the best at whatever you do. Claim it. Now, what I want you to notice is, what does that do for you? Who do you need to be the best in that moment where you are? Okay. When we make that declaration, we show up differently, don't we? Right? We have different awarenesses. We start to access different resources that may have been dormant. We have different impulses. We take different actions, right? We stop with certain things. We start with other things because we make that declaration or that claim that we are the best. And if we do that moment to moment to moment throughout our day, you will be absolutely amazed at how you crush your old story and start living your new story. So I'm going to invite everybody right now, at least for the next 45 minutes, claim that you are the best at what you do and listen to this presentation as if you are the best at what you do. Because if you do that, you will hear things differently. You will notice things differently. You will project into the future differently. If you believe in your bones and in your heart that you are the best at what you do. All in favor, say aye. Let's move forward. Perfect. Okay, so here's where we're going to get to work. We're going to write your history from the future. Okay, we're going to write your history from the future. So here's what this is going to look like. I'm going to take us off of screen share. Okay, and I want everybody to grab a blank piece of paper. Okay, I don't have a workbook for you. This is better than a workbook because you create it yourself and you're going to be able to create it wherever you go. So blank piece of paper, and I want you to fold it so that it looks like that, right? There's the cover, inside flap, and the back cover, okay? Now, with that, what I want you to do is on the front of your handout, I want you to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to give you 5 questions that you need to have the answer to in order to start being your best. Okay, because it's who we are being that gets good things done. Okay, so number 1, here's your first question. Where are you headed over the next 3 to 5 years? And what do you want it to look like when you get there? Okay, now, what I want to caution you is we've only got another 45 minutes together, so I'm not looking for you to actually write out the answers to this right now. I want you to just get the questions, write down the questions. And then after this, or maybe on the weekend, carve out some time, schedule some time in your calendar where you can actually come back and answer these questions. Okay, but if something pops into your mind, go ahead and jot that down too. So the first question again is, where are you headed over the next 3 to 5 years? And what do you want it to look like when you get there? Okay, so be sure to include things like your revenue, right? When you step into your life and your business 3 to 5 years from now, how much revenue are you generating? How many clients do you have? Who are your ideal clients? How much office space do you have? Do you own your office building, right? Who are your power partners? What business are you really in? Okay, if you're a financial advisor, you know, there's a lot of financial advisors, but what business are you really in? One of my financial advisor clients, he says that he's in the edutainment business. He's in the financial peace of mind business, right? That's what people are buying. Okay, so that's where are you headed over the next 3 to 5 years, and what do you want it to look like when you get there? That's also known as a vision. Okay, you need a vision for your business. You need a bright, compelling future that brings in hope, makes you hopeful, not hopeless. Okay, and we know that successful people in business have a bright and compelling future. By the way, 95% of the success or failure in any small business is the mindset of the owner. And the mindset comes from where you focus. What are you looking at? Are you looking at a future that's compelling and bright? That's going to create a vacuum that pulls you through what you need to be doing. Okay. Now, number 2, the second question is, why does your business exist? Why do you exist? Okay, if we're a financial advisor, does the world really need another financial advisor? Does the world really need another coach? You know, when I got into coaching 20 years ago, people were like, well, what's that? Now you swing a wet rag and you hit 10 coaches. You know, everybody's a coach. Do we need another one? Yes, no, maybe, sort of, who knows? But why do you exist, right? And the way that we look at that is we create what I call a permission statement, a purposeful mission, which answers What do I do better than anybody else in the world so that my ideal clients can experience a specific outcome, an impact, or a benefit, or even a transformation? Okay. When you can couple those together, here's why I'm here. Here's why I got a ticket to the big blue marble and get to play on it, is because I am world class at provoking my clients' brilliance and getting them to take action. Okay. That's my permission. And when I wake up in the morning, I know why I'm on this planet. And if for some reason coaching gets taken away or taken out of the fold, I could be a garbage collector and I can do it with that same permission. Okay. I can be the best garbage collector out there. And we do need garbage collectors, by the way. They're important people, what they do. All right. So that's the second question, is why does my business exist? And that gives us our purposeful mission, or our permission. The third question that we want to answer is, what do we want to measure and get done over the next 12 months? What do we want to measure and get done over the next 12 months? Now, a lot of people call these goals or objectives or KPIs or OKRs, right? Call it whatever you want. It's basically just, you want more of something or you want less of something. I want more money, more clients, more office space, more staff, more market share, or I want less something, less returns, less chaos, less lawsuits, less whatever it might be. So these are going to be the gauges on your dashboard. And you don't want really any more than 6. Okay. One of them obviously is going to be your revenue, again, just like in your vision, but it's a 12-month lookout or a 6-month lookout versus a 3 to 5 year lookout. So think about, at the end of this year, the end of 2023, what do you want to be having reported as your revenue? That's what I call a focused intentional commitment, an FIC. Okay, everybody calls it a goal or an OKR or a KPI. I call them focused intentional commitments. And here's why. Doing this for 20 years, we've all heard, set a SMART goal, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time bound. And that helps. That gives us a better chance at achieving a goal. But I don't know about you. I've set a lot of SMART goals in my life and still missed them. Okay. Why? Is because they didn't pass my ACID test. And ACID stands for A, is it in alignment with my values? The C is, do I have the capacity to do what needs to get done to achieve it? The I is, does it inspire me? And the D is, am I determined to do whatever it takes, legally, morally, and ethically, for as long as it takes to get it done? And if I can answer the affirmative to the A, C, I, and D, and it's SMART, it now becomes what I call a focused intentional commitment. It's something that I can focus on, and I can be very intentional with everything I do towards it. And I treat it as a commitment or as a promise, right? So it's a decision. I'm making a promise, I'm making a commitment, I'm making a decision to get something done. When we treat it as a commitment, it gets done. Okay. But if it's a goal, it starts to get a little soft. It's an objective, there's room for excuses. But if it's a commitment, if I commit to myself and the world, it gets done. Okay. So we have to look at it. We have to treat it differently. We have to feel it differently. Okay. So we call them focused intentional commitments. So think about that. You want 6 of them. What are the 6? How many more clients do you want over the course of the year? How many do you want? A new designation? Do you want more money, more office space, whatever that is? Figure out what the 6 are and write those down. All right. Next, the 4th item on the cover of this is how. How are you going to accomplish these focused intentional commitments? Those 6 things you just wrote down. If you want more money, how are you going to do it? Is it through networking? Is it through presentations? Is it through asking for referrals? Is it through writing articles? Is it through social media? All of that is how. And how is the simple word for strategy. Okay, strategy is simply, how are you going to accomplish something? So think about, what are the different hows that you can do to get your focus intentional commitments. And at the end of this presentation, I've got a gift for you. Okay, not an upsell, but an actual gift where it has 88 different hows or strategies or things that you can do to help grow your service-based business. So stay tuned for that. All right. The fifth question is who's going to do what by when? I call them tactical action plans. So when I come up with my focused intentional commitments, like let's say I want to make this much money at the end of the year, and I know these are the 6 ways of how I'm going to do it. Well, those strategies take some moving parts, some heavy lifting. Okay, so it's like a project that I've got to create. And there's different people that can support me in that project. And by the way, I've got 10 assistants, here they are, and they do a lot of the work, right? So what is the work that needs to be done? Spell it out, think it through, okay? Because what happens is when the world comes at us, it can be overwhelming and we can lose track of the things that we need to do that can be the building blocks of carrying out the strategy to accomplish the focus intentional commitments. And so if I take time and I block the world away and I think this through, and then I tell my future self, here's what I need you to do on this day. Here's what I need you to do this week. And I can just look at it. It takes the overwhelm out. Okay. All right. So those are the 5 elements. The first is your vision. Then second is your permission. The third are your focused intentional commitments. The fourth is your how or your strategies. And the fifth are your tactical action projects or plans, right? The who's going to do what by when. So that will finish the cover of this. And once you do that, that's basically your 1-page business plan. And all you got to do is look at that every single day for just 2 or 3 minutes and take yourself, take your head, take your heart, take that journey and collapse it into feeling as if you've already achieved it. That's how you turn yourself on to be open to the impulse of what you need to do that day to get things done in a good way. Okay, so that's that part of it. Now, with this piece of paper, what I want you to do is I want you to open it up, and on the inside here, I want you to write the letters IMAGE, image. Okay, it's our internal image that we project out into the universe, onto the world that we get to experience. Think of it as a camera, right? If I point my camera at my business, that's going to show up on the replay on the screen of reality, of the world. Now, if I'm projecting my camera onto what I don't want, what's going to show up on the screen is what I don't want. But if I focus it on what I do want, I increase the odds of getting it on the screen. So here's really the piece that takes us out of overwhelm, is every day, start your day off by going through this process. The I is intention. Okay, what is your intention for the day? How do you want to be? What do you want to do? And what do you need to have? Be, do, have. Okay, now what I like to do is I like to segment my day. You know, for the first block of my day, my morning routine, you know, from when I wake up till about 7 o'clock in the morning, I've got a routine. And I'm very intentional with that routine. So I write down what are my intentions for that segment of my day, right? And then I jump into maybe a coaching call. Well, for that particular coaching call with that particular client, how do I want to be? What do I want to do? And what do I need to have, right? For that client, I may need to be compassionate. And for the client meeting after that, maybe it's not compassionate, maybe it's challenging, right? Because I know my clients. And so notice, how do you want to be in this next segment of your day? Even when you take a break and go have lunch, right? Do I want to be stressed while I'm eating? No, I want to be relaxed. I want to be open to letting the food nourish my body. I want to be open to, recharging. Those are my intentions for that period or that segment of the day, right? When I'm done at the end of the day and I'm walking back over to the house and going in to see my family, what's my intention when I walk through the threshold of the door? I want to be a certain way, right? It's our being that gets the good things done. So notice that for yourself and set the intentions for the different segments of your day. That will take a ton of the overwhelm out of it for you. Because think of this, most people, as soon as they start their day, they're caught in the middle of that race and they're running, and it's exhausting. But if you think of it like this, where, you know what, I don't have to finish the whole race right now. I just have to get to the next end of the city block. And then I can kind of evaluate and see where I go from there. And I might be inspired and continue on. I might need to take a break, whatever it is. But for this next segment, for the next city block, I'm intentional. Okay. Now, the M in the image process stands for magic or miracle. Okay. What I like to do is I like to notice the magic. And it could be, I'm at the grocery store, I get out of the car and I look down and I see a quarter. Okay, so I pick the quarter up, I thank the universe, I'm abundant. That's a little miracle in action. That's a little magic reminder. When I take that and I couple that with other things, such as I get an email or maybe a voicemail from somebody that says, hey, Mach, it's been a few years. We haven't worked in a while. I'd like to come back into some coaching. Okay, I see that as a miracle. That's magic. Didn't plan for it. I did some things along the way to help nurture that relationship and stay in touch. And they're ready and they come and they buy. That's good for business. That's a miracle. That's magic. Notice the magic. Notice the miracle. For what we focus on expands. And by the way, in my business plan, I account 20% of my annual revenue to magic. Seriously, there's things that I just cannot plan for that fall in my lap along the way because I'm looking for it. I'm noticing it all around me. See, the success that you want for yourself is available to you in this very moment. The trick is making yourself available to the magic. And this is how you do it. You look for it and you notice it and you acknowledge it and you write it down. All right. The A in image stands for affirmations. Who knows what an affirmation is? Okay. An affirmation is simply an I am statement. I am that I am. I am confident. I am courageous. I am a multimillionaire. I am the best. Okay. Now, when we say an affirmation, it's there to build us up, not break us down. However, sometimes we can have an affirmation and the BS meter goes off. Has that happened to anybody? Say yes or yes in the chat. So when we have the BS meter go off, that's just information for us to calibrate the affirmation. What I like to do is I like to call it an ask-formation. So here's an example. If I'm going into an event or a meeting or something and my confidence is not quite where I'd like it to be, and I say, I am confident, and my BS meter chimes in, then what I do is I flip it into an ask formation. And so I will then there go by, how am I confident? Why am I confident? And our brain works just like Google. It sends this search out and comes back with information. So if I ask myself, why am I confident? How am I confident? My brain opens up to the resource and I'll remember, oh yeah, I've written 7 books. Okay. On a good day, I'm not too bad as a coach. As a matter of fact, I'm the world's best coach in this moment. And I'll get that research back, that information back, and that starts to lend to growing the confidence. And that's the way that it works. If, I do this with some people, they're looking to lose some weight or release some weight, shall we say. And they're telling themselves, I am 150 pounds, I am 150 pounds. And they step on the scale and they look in the mirror and they're not seeing 150 pounds, they're seeing a few more than that. and they tell themselves I'm 150 pounds, the BS meter goes off. But if we start to buffer it and say, I'm excited about weighing 150 pounds, that's another way to lower the BS meter and feel the vibration of what it is we want to feel, because it's that vibration that creates the attraction. And I'm all for law of attraction, but you've got to recognize that 60% of the word attraction is action. Okay, so you have to take action to get traction to invoke the law of attraction. So keep in mind, you can do that through affirmations and ask-formations and start to work with them to work for you. If you want to learn more, just reach out to me. I can give you some great information around that. So that's the A in image. Now, moving on.
Question from Sean.
Oh, okay.
Sean has hand raised.
And let's see.
Allowed.
Is it in the chat or in the?
No, he has his hand raised.
Okay. So go ahead, Sean, ask the question or type it in.
Wrong button. Never mind. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, wrong button. All right. So let's see. We were on the A. Now we're on the G. Okay. G is my favorite. No matter how confungled I am feeling in the day or in the week or in my life, I go to G. The G is, well, before I tell you what the G is, what do you think the G is? Let me see in the chat. What does G stand for? Carol, you are absolutely correct. Gratitude, right? Attitude of gratitude. Gratitude is simply shifting your focus. What are you grateful for? And make it easy. I'm grateful just to be above ground. Okay. That makes it easy to win the game. When I wake up and my eyes open and I see the ceiling, I'm like, cool, my eyes still work. You know, I've got some aches and pains, so be it. You know, I can do a lot of stuff. All of my bodily functions are working great. I've got opportunity. I've got prospects. I've got the ability to generate revenue and income for myself and my family. I've got great kids, right? What is it that you're grateful for? And don't just do this once throughout the day. Set a reminder, set an alarm, and do it frequently through your day. Just jot down 3 things that you're grateful for. Shift your attitude up to gratitude. We're all vibrational energy, right? Energy doesn't start or stop. It just changes form. If your energy's down low, where you're hopeless or you're resentful or you're confungled or whatever it might be, shift your vibration. Now, it doesn't mean you have to jump the Grand Canyon as far as going up the scale, but it does mean get to the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level. And we do that through gratitude. And that's the most powerful way to get us where we need to be in order to perform and do the things we must do. All right. So don't discount gratitude. Now, the E, this is a big part of this whole equation, because the E allows us to feel the progress, to feel the traction. Now, the E stands for expansion. So what we're going to do is at the end of the day, or even throughout the day, we're going to look at how am I expanding? How did I expand based on my values? And we all have a different order of values. Most of us are going to have very, very similar values, but it will be a different hierarchy or a different order of those values. So identify what your top 5 values are, and then look back over the day and notice how you lived or how you honored your values. So as an example for me, values are things like learning, growing, contribution. Okay. So at the end of my day, I look at how or who did I contribute to? How did I grow? What did I learn? And I jot those down in my journal or onto this page that you're sharing. And when you look back at that and you look back over the day and you say, how did I do? Right? How did I grow? How did I expand? How did I learn? How did I contribute? And you've got some notes there. You can look at your day and say, you know what? Day well done. Life well lived. Okay. And then look back over the week of those 5 days or 7 days. And you can look back and say, you know what? Week well done. Life well lived. And when we feel purpose, when we feel progress, we feel happy. right? Progress equals happiness. We all have a capacity, and here's our performance. When we're performing at our capacity, we're happy and we're making progress. To the degree that this gap exists, we're unhappy and we're not as productive. So be your best, moment to moment to moment. Okay, so that's the I, the M, the A, the G, and the E on your inside cover. Now, once you do the inside cover, I want you to go to this side of the page. And what I want you to jot down is a little box at the top right here. And then the hours, whenever you start your day to whenever you end your day, and then another little box. And I'll explain this stuff in a second, but right now, let's just go for the number or the calendar. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you have to throw out your calendar, your journal, your planner, Outlook, or whatever it is, Google Calendar. You don't have to throw that away. What I'm saying is just think about it in this way. Okay. What I'm going to invite you to do is to bookend your days, right? The first part of your day and the last part of your day is where you have pretty much full control of your day. It's everything in between, right? It's all these numbers in between that can be a little bit of a shite storm. You know, things happen, things blow off the rails. So in the morning routine, in that bookend of your day, what does that need to be? And one of the things, I follow one of my buddies, Hal Elrod. He's got a great book called The Miracle Morning, and he calls them lifesavers, SAVERS. The S is silence, the A is affirmations, the V is visualization, the E is exercise, the R is reading. So he spends about 10 minutes in each of those areas for the total of an hour, where he gets 10 minutes of each of those things done. Now, at the end of the hour, he feels pretty accomplished. I do something very similar, and I feel very accomplished before I even start the day, if you will. Okay, before the 7 o'clock first appointment or whatever it might be. And then with these numbers, right, I write in clients or meetings or this webinar, you know, all of the things that are going to go through my days, my workouts, things of that nature. And I write down the intention. How do I want to feel with this particular client or appointment? How do I want to be or feel for this particular presentation? How do I want to be or do or feel with regards to whatever that segment is? So I write that in along with whatever the client's name is or the activity. And that's huge because, again, I can get stuck in the middle of the day and it can be a very overwhelming day. And if I get stuck in that and I don't have a reminder to snap myself back, snap the vibration back to where it needs to be, I can get overwhelmed just like everybody else. Okay, it happens. These are tools to snap out of it. Okay. And then at the end of the day, you've got a little evening routine, right? And think of this, tomorrow starts tonight. So that means, you know, no eating past 8 o'clock. For me, it's water, it's doing a little bit of yoga and some stretching, and it's getting to bed at a certain time to allow myself to recharge my body and my mind and integrate the day through my sleep so that I'm race ready for the next day. So tomorrow starts tonight. What is that for you? Okay, so be mindful of that. Now, that's how you control your day. Next, over here, this is what I call your 6-pack. Okay, I start every day with a 6-pack. Okay, not a 6-pack of beer. I'm working on my 6-pack of abs, but it's a different 6-pack. It's basically this. What are the 6 most important things you must get done before your head hits the pillow tonight? Okay, in addition to your appointments, in addition to your routines, there's probably projects or tasks or actions that must get done. They can only be done by you. That's what goes on this over here. Now, if you're like me, if you're like most people, you've got more than 6 every day. So this is a matter of prioritization. Okay. People say, you know, help me with time management. Well, time management is simply prioritization. Because here's the newsflash, everyone. There's always going to be more to do than we can do. That's just the world we live in. With all the electronic leashes around us, we're getting tugged in all kinds of different directions. So this is how you manage the 6 most important things that must get done by you every day, in addition to what's on your calendar. Okay. And so commit to that, make those things happen. And then finally, all of this down here are the numbers. Those are the numbers of the people that you need to call or the emails that you need to reply. Because let's face it, work and business is a numbers game. Okay, it's a numbers game. You've got to reach out to X number of prospects to qualify them, to eventually onboard X number of clients. It's a numbers game. Even though it's a people business, it's a numbers game. So are you managing your numbers effectively? Are you reaching out like you need to? Are you staying in touch like you need to? Okay, that's important. So on the front, what do we have? The 4 things. We've got our vision, our permission. We've got our focused intentional commitments. We've got our strategy, and we've got our tactical action projects. That's on the front page. And not like you have to recreate this page every day. Just do it once and then take a snapshot of it or have it somewhere that's ubiquitous so that you can look at it every day and take yourself into the future and do what I call visceralization. What I mean by visceralize is see it in your mind and feel it in your heart. And when you integrate the two, it activates your vibration. It activates the impulses and the awareness and the actions that you're going to need to create that vacuum that pulls you to it. Okay. Then as you do that, set your image for the day. Put your calendar into the day and your routines and your 6-pack and the contacts and work off of that. And then on the very back of that, it's blank. Those are your notes. Okay. Be mindful of the notes that you need to write to carry things forward for yourself. But if you have all of this on one page, and that's the only thing that's on your desk or in your environment or something to the equivalent of this, right? I've got an actual journal that I've created that has all of this in it. That's my image process there. That's my routine and my calendar. These are my 6-packs and these are my reaches. Okay, so I have it ubiquitous, and it's just this that's on my desk, right? I'm not cluttered with piles of files and post-it notes in the back of envelopes, because that's chaos. Okay, that's what I call the Velcro executive, right? Imagine you wear a suit and it's made out of Velcro, and you got all these post-it notes and envelopes and pieces of paper all over you. And, you're like that kid in the Christmas story, I can't put my arms down, right? You don't want to be that executive. You want to be the Teflon executive, right? Wear that Teflon suit so that as things come at you and you evaluate them, and by evaluate, I mean, you say, what is this? What does it mean to me? And what am I supposed to do with it? You've got a place to park it, right? And you park it somewhere on here where it belongs so that you can do something about it. Okay, that's the magic. All right, so here we are in the middle of the race, and you've got some tools to go out into the future and line some things up with your vision, your mission, your focused intentional commitments, your strategies, and your tactical action plans. So all of that starts to get in alignment, and that's the important thing, is having alignment with what it is that we need to do. And then day in and day out, now you've got your image process to work with, and you've got your calendar and your daily routines to work with. But more importantly, you're going to be intentional through your calendar throughout your day, like we talked about. That will give you back energy. That will remove the fog of the overwhelm. Okay, so this is all really, really important to practice. And this is such an easy practice. It's so easy that if you fall off of it, you can get right back on. Okay, you don't have to know all these convoluted systems and things and be reliant upon technology. I love technology. I use an Outlook calendar, I use email, and there's different things that I can do to really optimize that. But I dumb it down, if you will, to this one page. And all I've done is I've created these journals so I don't have to rewrite a lot of the stuff over and over and over. But I used to, and it worked then and it works today. So hopefully you've got some tools and resources now that help you understand how to reduce the overwhelm. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to open it up for some questions so that you can get the clarity that you need to keep on keeping on with regards to how all of this works. So Kathy, I don't know if you need to do anything on this or not, but by a show of hands, if you want to ask a question, raise your hand. If you want to put it into the chat, throw it into the chat. There's specific things you're wanting to know how to do or what not to do sometimes.
Everything's opened up, chat and Q&A.
Okay, awesome. Okay, nobody has any questions on the process. Looks like Jay has his hand up. Jay, question? Hand went down. Let's see. Oh, okay. Laura asked the question, what if you struggle with visualization? Perfect. So there's no right way for visualization, but I'll give you this. Don't think of a pink elephant. And what did you just see in your mind in some way, shape, or form? Right? So oftentimes it doesn't have to be this, Dolby surround sound, vivid technicolor image that we see. We just sometimes have to have a sense of it, a knowingness of it. And it can be very visual for some people. It might be even auditory for other people. Some people, it's just a feeling somewhere in their body that they get. Okay. And most importantly, it's all about the feeling, right? Because again, we are vibrational energy, and energy doesn't start or stop. It just changes form. Think of emotion as energy in motion. What we're trying to do is get the right energy into the motion that we need to get things done. So hopefully, Laura, that helps. One of the things that you can do also, if you feel you don't get it in your mind, the visual side of it, is create a storyboard or a visualization board. Cut out pictures. Go to Google and download some images and collect those images and then look at those, right? Pick representations of things that you want for yourself. A new home, a vacation, a new car, money, a certain body type that you might be going for, or a relationship, and get pictures of that and then include those pictures onto a vision board or put them in the form of a PowerPoint. And you can transport that PowerPoint onto your phone and you can look through that every day. That's one of the things I used to do. And it worked really, really well. So you don't have to just rely here, but give yourself some tools and ways to help with that. Hopefully that helps. Let's see, Mick, attraction requires action. Take action to gain traction. Don't give in to distraction or accept a fraction. Man, I am copying and pasting that. That's awesome. All right. Thank you for that, Mick.
We also have a question from Sean, who can talk to you. And then Michael Goldberg has a question in chat as well.
Okay, I see Michael's. So Sean, go ahead. What's the question?
So I just wanted to rewind on the "I am the best" statement.
Yes.
How do I, and this has been a topic that's been pretty relevant in the last few weeks, it's something that we've talked about as well, but how do I engage in that, tell myself that? It just feels like I'm getting, I'm approaching the negative sense of pride, and it's really hard to believe that there's not somebody else on this planet that is better at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that whole BS meter kind of goes off with the best topic, and I have a really hard time really believing that out of 8 billion people on this planet, I'm the best at a specific topic. And then it kind of blends in with, am I lacking humility? Am I still on, is it affecting my, the faith piece, which is big value in my life? So I have a really hard time with that.
There's a couple pieces here, and I thank you for the question, because it's true, right? That BS meter can go flying. If I'm on a basketball court, with LeBron James, I don't know that I would believe myself if I say I'm the best basketball player in the world. So there is a reality check. There is a BS meter. But here's what I want you to think about. It's about, we hear the term fake it till you make it. And that sets off the BS meter. So what I want to invite people to replace that with is act as if. In this moment, you can act as if you are the best. Okay, so take that one piece, and now we're going to couple that with another piece. And here's the other piece. This comes from a philosopher, Coolio. And what he says is, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Okay? Now, I know this is a little bit of a mind bender, but I want you to notice, if you're with somebody and you have a sense or a knowing that they believe you are the best, are you going to show up a little bit differently than if you're just telling yourself, oh gosh, I'm just one of the crowd? Or if they see you as the best, you're going to show up a little differently. Yes or yes? And it's that way to get ourselves to step up when we believe that they believe we're the best, right? We're going to prepare differently. We're going to be organized differently. We're going to say things differently when we believe we're the best in the moment and we believe that they believe we're the best. And in this moment, in this very moment, and that's the only thing that's real, is this present moment. When we're with our client or our prospect, we absolutely are the best, because there's no other electrician around them or you in that moment with that person. So in that moment, you are absolutely the best. Okay. And that's what we've got to feel. That's what we've got to bring. That's our A game. And if we can do that moment to moment to moment, we will do things far beyond what we thought was possible. And I can tell you personal experience for myself and all of my clients, that when they finally get this, and yeah, I get the part of the pride and, not being obnoxious, but there's a great saying, from Marianne Williamson, and she says, it's not our darkness that scares us, it's our light, because it's like, who am I to shine bright and be the best? But who are you not to be? You are given breath every moment until you leave this earth, and you get to be the best. Maybe, a moment ago you created a mistake. So what? In this moment, you can create mastery and create more mastery and create more mastery. Because it's not about reacting to who we've been. It's about creating who we're going to be, moment to moment to moment. And if you take the word reaction and move the C to the front, you get creation. So you can create moment to moment to moment, and you can create the best moments, moment to moment to moment. So hopefully this starting to land and to make some sense.
No, that was good. I appreciate that. That's definitely helpful. Thank you.
You bet. And let's see, Michael's question in the chat. What do you see as the biggest obstacle to keeping on track with your form? Not looking at it, right? So set some reminders for yourself to look at it. And this is part of my morning routine. It's actually part of my evening routine. Is I fill out my journal, which is basically just this all printed, is at the end of my day, I prepare for the next day. I look at what is on my calendar and my Outlook, even though it's electronic, and I write it out into my journal. And then I write down how my intentions are going to be in those segments of the day. And then I look at who I need to reach out to and contact, and I put those things. I put in my 6-pack who's going to do what by when, right? And then I look at the image process. Okay. So I set up my tomorrow tonight, because I'm a big believer that when we sleep and when we're in REM sleep, not deep sleep, but REM, our mind is integrating the day. And it's also kind of going out into the universe and doing some problem solving. And I can't tell you how many times I wake up in the morning having done that with clear answers of things that were perplexing to me the day before. It's I set the intention before I go to bed to help me be the best I can be tomorrow. Okay. But have it written out, have it in a place that you see it, set reminders to go back to it. Because like anything, when the fire hose of life is coming at us, we can get distracted. We can use anything to feed our addiction to chaos and to overwhelm. Stop the addiction. And I know that's a powerful word, especially for many people. But we all have things that we get comfortable or familiar with. And if it's overwhelm, you've got to break that pattern. This is one of the ways to break the pattern. So Mike, I hope that answers your question. Let's see, any other?
In the Q&A, there's a couple. Someone's asking, what do you do for the myriad tasks that are not in the top 6? Where do you keep track of those?
Good question. I do have a master list of all of the things that need to get done. Okay. And I do that in Excel. It's just an ongoing list so that I don't have to rewrite. And then from that list, I look at that every Friday. I block out my lunchtime on Fridays to do a weekly review and a calibration of the week. And I look through there and I look at what are the items that need to get done next week from that list. And I pull from that list and I write down on the best day for me to do that into my journal or into my sheets on that corresponding day. Okay. And again, over the course of a week, I get about 30 spots to migrate those action items from that master list. Okay. So that's the way that I do that, is I just have a master list of things to do. Now, the part that you want to be careful of with action items or tasks or to-dos is it a to-do or is it a project, right? So a lot of people out there, they work off of lists and things just roll over from day to day to week to month to why didn't this get done? Check it out. A project is more than one task. And if we've got a project, even if it's only 2 or 3 steps on our to-do list, we might not get it done, because what happens is when we look at it in the middle of the day with everything flying at us, we're not conscious of what the next best action is around it. And so we go numb to it. So if you find things aren't getting done, look at it and unpack it. Unpack what are the next 3, 5, 10 steps, as if you're going to write it out for somebody else to do that doesn't know how to do it. And that'll give you a sense like, oh, well, I need to do this. It's like, if we need to get new tires for our car and we, day in and day out, we don't make that call to schedule the appointment, chances are we don't know where we're going to take the car. We don't know, when's the best time to bring the car in to do that. So there's a lot of thought that has to go with it. I know it's a simple thing, but our brains sometimes can get, out of whack because we're not clear, because the bandwidth is so low. It's like having, a bunch of apps open on your phone. If there's too many things open on your phone, the battery just goes, right? Well, our battery goes down too when we've got a lot of open loops. So sometimes we got to close the loops and then look at what is the next best action and just migrate those actions over. So hopefully that works.
Okay, and the last question was from Donna. She wants to know, what was the word for A on the acid test?
Oh, it's alignment, right? Think of your values, right? We've all worked for somebody and they gave us our goals, right? But those goals may not have been in alignment with our values. And so we wonder why we didn't get the goal done. So if we can align it with our values, in other words, no matter what this is, how can I learn from it? For me, how can I learn? How can I grow? How can I contribute? If I can connect the dots of my values, if I can align it with whatever that goal is, it gives me a greater sense of wanting to do what's needed to be done to get it done. All right, so I'm going to share one more thing and then I'm going to let you guys run because I know we're at that mark. And this comes from my good friend, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And think of this with regards to this process that I just shared with you. He said, finish every day and be done with it. You've done the best you could. Some blunders and absurdities crept in. Forget them as soon as you can, for tomorrow is a new day that you shall begin it serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense, right? So just think of this page, right? Every day, you do the best you can. Some blunders are going to creep in, let it go, start a new page. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the week, look back at what you did get done under the E of image and add that up and let that be your overwhelming feeling of how you learn, grow, contribute, get things done, be your best. Okay. And I've got some gifts for you here. So if you want, you can take your phone, take a picture of this QR code or scan the QR code. Whoops. Let me go back so you can see it there. And I mentioned earlier that I've got a book that you can download, doesn't cost anything. And you can get our 88 Tactical Marketing Tactics. It'll give you all kinds of different ways things that you can do to grow your service-based business. There's another book in there on habits, and they're not very big books. They're useful information that you can get through really quickly. And then there's a challenge in there. If you want to take on a 30-day challenge, 10 points to 30 days of success, and we can connect on LinkedIn. And my contact information is all at this QR code once you scan it. So that's my gift to you guys. I hope you got some value out of today. And I'm going to take us off screen share. And if anybody has any parting remarks, I'd love to hear it. And I wish you the best and stay out of overwhelm. Thank you.